Well, good afternoon, Rip City. Chris Burkhardt here with you for Blazers Game Day, getting you ready for Blazers versus Pelicans Game 2 of this 3-game road trip and the first game of the 2026 calendar year. Hopefully, this one starts out just a little bit better than 2025 ended, because that game against the Thunder the other night, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It may have, if you woke up hungover on January 1st, it might not have been because you partied all night for New Year's Eve. It might have been because that game just made you take a couple extra shots, because the Blazers absolutely struggled. Of course, let's be honest, we kind of knew that was going to be the case because it's the flipping Oklahoma City Thunder, guys. They're really good. We know that they're really good. And they absolutely stifled the Trailblazers in that one. And it was not pretty. A 124-95 victory for the Oklahoma City Thunder in a game that the Blazers just really couldn't get any semblance of offense going. They shot the ball at just 39% from the floor. They did shoot well from beyond the arc, but Oklahoma City was just able to get everything they wanted and more. Lived at the free throw line. Because, that's the case. People know that happens. You got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You didn't have Isaiah Hartenstein in, so maybe you could go do some damage. And the Blazers did. They shot well from the glass. But the turnover numbers did this team in. Because if you look at the box score, my friends, you're like, okay, Portland shot 40% from deep. They only shot 39% from the floor overall, but Oklahoma City shot 48. So, you're not on pace, but you're not doing terribly. You did lose the free throw battle 20-13 in makes, but you won the rebound battle 50-41. You still got 12 offensive rebounds, which is pretty good for you. You had 10 steals and you had a couple block shots. You're looking at these things going, okay, maybe the Blazers put up a fight. But then you find where they gave this game up, and that was on the turnovers. They had 25 turnovers as a team that led to 28 points for the Oklahoma City Thunder. They also were getting beat up in the paint. Oklahoma City with 52 points in the paint in this one. But the turnovers, every time they rear their ugly little head, this is what happens. You got to take care of the ball. We talked about it in the pregame show, about how this team, being the Oklahoma City Thunder, they don't turn the ball over a lot, similar to what Portland saw when they played the Boston Celtics earlier in the year, or I guess earlier in the week. But also, they force a lot of turnovers. And we knew you were going to have to take care of the ball to stand a chance. And the Blazers were unable to do so. And so Oklahoma City flexed on them. This is why they are the defending champions. That's why they're one of the best teams in the entire NBA. And, except San Antonio seems to have their number. But the point being, you knew what you had to do. You just couldn't get it done just because, again, this team is so darn good. Oklahoma City is absolutely phenomenal. And, you obviously got to deal with the injury bug, too, because you don't have so many of your players in. We get one of our texters already chiming in. And you can text in, too, 88528. Will any of the players that are out be back by next year besides Dame? And I'll hope so. I'd hope so. We'll get you an update here on that in just a little bit after we talk about this game here, because the Blazers did release some news on that front, which is nice. But, again, this game from Oklahoma City, it was their game start to finish, and the Blazers just really couldn't get anything going. The biggest lead for Oklahoma City was 31. The biggest lead for Portland was 3 when they led 3-0 early on after a City Sissoko 3. And the Blazers led for exactly 18 seconds of this game. There was one lead change, and they were tied twice. So, yeah, Oklahoma City did what they need to do. Taking a look at the individual box scores, balance is the word when I look at this Oklahoma City box score, and that's how they attack you, because you don't know who's going to get theirs. We talked about it in the pregame show, and the fact that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be really good. You know that he's going to get his 25, 30 points. He's going to get to the line. He's going to help set the pace for Oklahoma City. Well, not a single player on Oklahoma City had to play more than 30 minutes in this game. The most minutes was Shea Gilgeous-Alexander with 28, and he led the way with 30 points. But you look at the rest of the lineup, Jalen Williams had 13, Lou Dort had 12, Chet Holmgren had 12, Son Wallace had 17. Son Wallace had 5. A.J. Mitchell had 17, 12 points from Brandon Karras, and 15 points from Isaiah Joe. So that is, quick count, 7 players in double figures for the Oklahoma City Thunder. On the other side of that is your Portland Trailblazers, and we have talked a lot about needing to get scoring from their starting lineup, specifically their forwards, not named Denny Avdia. Denny is playing a lot more of the point guard position just because of the injuries. But you're not getting enough production out of Toumani Camara on the offensive side. The rough part about that is I think in a fully healthy lineup, you're not needing him to go be your third leading scorer. Right now, you kind of need him to be, but he had another rough night, 2 of 5 from the floor. Both of those shots being three-pointers, finished the night with just 6 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. Sidy Cissoko, on the other hand, chipped in 19 points, good performance from him, and 17 points from Denny Avdia to go along with 7 boards and 7 assists. 14 points for Shaedon Sharpe, and that's another one that I circle. We as Blazer fans in this city, Rip City as a whole, we want Shaedon Sharpe to take that jump. And in taking that jump, we need 20-point games to feel like an off night, not 14. We need to see less of this, more making those shots and getting those consistent 25-point performances. I mean, you saw Damian Lillard here forever, and it was like, oh my gosh, Dame only scored 24 points tonight. What kind of night was that? Like, yes, that's almost an exaggeration, but that's what we want from Shaedon Sharpe. 14 points isn't going to get it done. 10 points each from Caleb Love and Chris Murray, and with no Isaiah Hartenstein. Now, I know Chet Holmgren is good defensively. He's going to give you fits, but Isaiah Hartenstein being that big-bodied center that's going to give you fits down low defensively, going to clean the glass. Kind of hoped Donovan Clingan would have a big game, but Donovan Clingan had just 6 points and 5 rebounds in this game. And again, when you look at a box score and Sidy Cissoko was your leading scorer, it was probably a rough night at the office, and that's not even disrespectful to Sidy Cissoko. It's just that's not his game, is to go out there and be your number one guy. So you just knew you were going to be in for a rough night on that front. So you need more from Toumani Camara. You need more from Shaedon Sharpe. You need more from everybody, quite honestly. And you can look at the lineup and go, oh, but Chris, everyone's injured, and that's true. We understand that, but that doesn't mean that you can't look at it and go, okay, we need these guys to still show up. I know you're getting the number 1 player and the number 2 player treatment, but that doesn't mean that you can't show up and show out. You're an NBA player. You're an NBA starter. I mean, even on a fully healthy roster, Toumani Camara, Shaedon Sharpe, Toumani's starting. Shaedon Sharpe, you want him to be the starter. You got to go out there and have big games. Now, to our text question about the health of this team, are they going to get better at any point? Is Dame the only one we know for sure? Is anyone going to get here before that? The Blazers did release an update on the player injuries yesterday. And here's the thing. There's some interesting things to note in here, and we're going to talk about it right now. So they announced that Drew Holiday has been cleared for progression of on-court basketball activities as he continues to return to play from his calf strain. So that's good, being cleared to on-court activities. So usually that indicates you're probably just a few weeks away. Scoot Henderson has initiated non-contact on-court basketball activities as he advances to the next phase of rehabilitation. And I think that one is a little more, okay, now you're on the court, which means there's going to be more moving, more jumping on the jump shot. It's not full 5-on-5, full contact yet. It's just the basketball activities. He'll be really reevaluated in 2 weeks with updates coming up as needed. Jeremy Grant is traveling with the team right now on this road trip, is considered day-to-day with left Achilles tendonitis, so that would indicate that he could play at any moment. He was listed as out today, so that one could linger. I don't know the ins and outs on that one. The one that is interesting, though, is Matisse Thybulle, because a lot of people are going, okay, I get it. It was a ligament in his thumb that he hurt. He had to get surgery on it, but is a thumb really going to keep you out that long? Well, According to the press release, while reconditioning for return to play following left thumb ligament surgery, Matisse Thybulle has been working on a progressive ramp up despite persistent symptoms with right knee tendinopathy. He continues to progress with on-court work and conditioning, and his status will be updated as appropriate. So that is one that sent off a couple red flags for Blazer fans, is the fact that Matisse Thybulle is, missing time now because he's dealing with an injury that wasn't even the injury that initially kept him out in the first place. He is dealing with some knee tendinopathy, and the guy has had a couple knee problems already in his career, so that is definitely something to keep an eye on and hope that he can recover from as quick as possible, because we've seen Matisse Thybulle out there, and when Matisse Thybulle is out there, good things happen because he's a good basketball player. He's an all-world defender for a reason. Just unfortunate that is the update. So the injury update was they're still progressing, which we all knew. Obviously, they're hopefully all progressing in some way, shape, or form toward getting back on the court, because we want them back on the court. But there was no definitive answer to what I think Blazer fans really want the most, and that is, hey, Scoot is, we've circled January 15th as his return to game action. Drew Holiday should be back on the court next week. Jeremy Grant, realistically, should be back by the homestand. It's just more of their day-to-day. Things could change. Okay. So it was an update, but it was not nearly as in-depth as a lot of us were hoping. We were hoping to get just a few more answers out of that. I would hope Scoot Henderson gets back before the month of January is over. The Blazers need him desperately, and the more time he misses, that's worse for everybody, the team and him. I would hope Drew Holiday is back as soon as possible, because it's a long time to be out with a calf strain. I would hope Jeremy Grant finds a way to get back in there. You don't want to mess with the Achilles whatsoever. You don't want to deal with that at all. But you would hope he gets back. The whole point is they need to be healthy. As one of our texters says, I'm not a professional, but I'm dealing with no cartilage in my shoulders, 0% on a bad knee, among other things, and I still go out and play tennis and I know it's not basketball, but it seems today's players are made out of ceramic, and that's just, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I mean, if you're rubbing knee on knee and you're bone on bone in your knee and you're trying to play basketball, it's game over for you. I mean, there's a massive difference between recreational activity versus professional level activity. And that's just going to be completely honest. Because I same thing. I have a very, very bad shoulder because I'm day to day old. But, going out and playing rec pickup basketball, yeah. Playing NBA basketball might be a little bit different, even if I was built for it. I think the thing right now, unfortunately, is that you have a lot of these calves and Achilles strains that they're dealing with. And it's not just the Blazers thing. I know someone wants to point out to, the Blazers training staff or whatnot. I definitely don't think that's an issue. But I do think you go calf, hamstring, Achilles, so many lower body injuries. Obviously, Matisse Thybulle dealing with the knee too. In today's day and age in basketball, the stress and strain and torque that they put on everything below the hips is absolutely insane. And I think that these teams are being so much more cautious because of the just rash of injuries you saw. I mean, just last year, right? Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton. We're just watching Achilles. You saw Kevin Durant in the finals against Toronto. Achilles. You've seen DeMarcus Cousins go down with those over the last decade. Klay Thompson with multiple injuries to the legs. The leg injuries in today's NBA it's just crazy with the frequency for which they happen. It's not as if we've never seen them before. I mean, we've seen players before tear their Achilles in the 90s and 80s too. It's just crazy how that is. But I get what you're laying down too. I mean, I'm the type too. Like I don't like to sit out. Like, oh my gosh, shoulder's hurting, but I got to go play. I played baseball the same day I broke my nose, even though I broke my nose taking batting practice. A ball bounced right off home plate, a foul tip right back up in my face, busted my nose. I still played. Dislocated my shoulder in pregame warmups. Still played. Maybe I'm just built different. I don't know. I just really want to say I was built different. It doesn't mean anything because, again, going out and playing high school level sports, a little bit different than playing in the NBA. All right, this is Blazers Game Day. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you want to join the conversation, you can head on over to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, join the conversation. I miss you as well, Patrick. And, of course, if you're like, who's he talking about? The texters. They're not texting my phone. They're texting the Rip City Radio text line. Just grab your phone, text 88528 to send in your questions and comments there. We're going to take a quick break here. When we return, we're going to head to the Coach's Corner, hear from Tiago Splitter after that game against Oklahoma City, and then talk about this team moving forward. We're going to spend very little time on talking about that Thunder game. That was a year ago. Ha. Dad jokes. We'll talk about what's coming up on the rest of this road trip and when they return home here after the break on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio, 620. Time now for the Coach's Corner. Let's head back in time to 2025. Hear what Coach Tiago Splitter had to say following that game against the Thunder. Or not. Maybe not. I'm trying to play it. All right, maybe we won't because I'm not hearing it. So there you go. There was Coach. He didn't even want to talk about that game against the Thunder. That's that. Well, you know what? That's good. I guess that's good because I didn't want to talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder anymore. Because as Brendan reminded me, he told me in my ear, he said, at least that's the last time we have to see the Thunder this year. And that is a fact. Kind of nice. Kind of nice that the Blazers don't have to play them. Kind of awful that they had to play them 4 times before turning the calendar, though. That was a gauntlet that the Blazers have had to run through. And now you look at the standings, and we've talked a lot about how this schedule starts to get a little bit easier, and it does. We do know that for a fact. The Blazers need those reinforcements, and they need those reinforcements in the worst way possible. They need to get the Jeremy Grants, and they need to get especially the Scoots and the Drew Holidays back. And you couple that with an easier schedule, and you hope that hopefully that turns into some more wins because the Blazers need those, and they need those in the worst way because they really want to hold on to that hope of being a play-in team. And I mean, playoff team, it might be a little bit of a stretch, but they want to be a play-in team. And to do that, healthy or not, you need to get wins against teams that you would suspect are extremely beatable. And I look at this Pelicans team, and I go, okay, they are 15th in the West. They are 8-27. That is a win percentage of .229. That is the second worst record in the NBA, second only to the Indiana Pacers, who are 6-28. This is a team that the Portland Trail Blazers, healthy or not, should beat. But then all you got to do is go back to December 11th, less than a month ago, in New Orleans, where they got walloped 143-120. And not the Pelicans got walloped. The Blazers got walloped. So even though the team is beatable, and that game they had Jeremy Grant, so that's a plus. But they didn't have their bigs. No Donovan Clingan, no Robert Williams, no Young Hansen. That was the we have no centers game. But still, you would hope that you can go in and you can get victories. And in that game, with no centers for your Trailblazers, the Pelicans absolutely dominated on the glass. It was 57-41 in favor of New Orleans. So now you have Donovan Clingan, you'll have Robert Williams. That changes everything, at least on the glass, and then you got to take advantage of everything else and do your best to win the ball game. Because as I said, the Pelicans are a team that you should beat. If you truly are the play-in team that you think you are, and I still think this Blazers team is, there are those who argue that they think they've started the stealth tank. I do not think they have. I think this team still wants to be a play-in team. There's just been some struggles along the way. Keep in mind, I know it feels a little bit weird, but this team went through the offseason and all of training camp with a different coach than's coaching right now, and has only coached all but one game this season because things have been crazy here in Portland. But despite all the struggles with the health and the injuries and, the up and down play, the Blazers still, despite all that and their incredibly hard schedule, are 10th in the West and still in a spot to be a play-in team. Now, the teams you got to watch out for are the Clippers, who are suddenly hot, 6-4 in their last 10, including a 6-game win streak, and have suddenly figured out that, oh, yeah, we can play basketball. So the Blazers have teams that are catching ground, and the Blazers still need to work to catch ground on the teams above them, being, the Grizzlies, who have a 1.5-game lead on the Blazers, and the Warriors, who have a 4-game lead on the Blazers, who the Blazers have already beaten multiple times. So the Blazers, at the end of the day, if things don't, totally flip on their head, they're going to be in contention for that 9-10 spot. And if the Clippers really start playing, this last 10 games isn't just isn't fake. This is how they are for the rest of the year. They'll likely jump up So you got teams like Memphis and Portland vying for that final spot for the play-in, that number 10 spot. Well, to do that again, you got to beat teams like the New Orleans Pelicans and take advantage of an easier schedule. And we hoped you would have took advantage of that 5-game homestand. Instead, you just won 2 games of that homestand. It was a little bit wonky. But taking a look at how this thing starts to play out the rest of the way. You finish this road trip. You got New Orleans today, San Antonio tomorrow, which should be a tough game because that team's filthy. They got 3 wins over Oklahoma City right now. That's how good they are. Then you return home. You get Utah, who is currently below you in the standings at 12-21. You got 2 games against the Rockets. That's a top 4 team. And then you get New York, who is number 2 in the East. You're like, okay, Chris, I thought you said it was going to get easier. Well, then you start going to games against Atlanta, games against Sacramento, games against Washington still on the schedule. You got the double against Memphis on February 6th and 7th, which now looms very large when you look at the standings. Another game against Utah still to come up. You still got Chicago, who beat you on a last-second shot, but you can beat that team. You know you can. You got Charlotte, another game against Utah. That's 3 that I'm counting right there. The Pacers, the Nets, the Wizards, some of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference and the NBA. I mean, I said you still got 2 games against Charlotte. That's 11-22. 2 games against Brooklyn. They're 10-21. 2 games against the Wizards. They're 8-24. 2 games against the Pacers, who are 6-28. And I mentioned the Utah Jazz 3 times. They're 12-21, a game and a half behind you. So you still got an easier schedule. A lot more of those teams who are in the 5, 6, 7, 8 range, and less games against the 1, 2, 3, 4s. That's good. Games against the Warriors, the Suns, the Timberwolves. You look at the East, you got games against the 76ers, the Heat, who are currently 7th, the Bulls and the Hawks, who are 9-10, respectively. The schedule does get easier. Taking advantage of it is now crucial, and it does not matter who's playing. Take advantage of it the best you can. If you get reinforcements, everything changes. Everything. Blazers need to get healthy, and they need to get healthy in the worst way. All right, this is Blazers Game Day. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Of course, you can head on over to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, join the chat there, or hit us up on the text line at 88528, where, as we were talking about injuries earlier, our same texter chimes back in and says, it's just hard being a Blazers fan. We've had about our fill of injuries over the years, especially with centers. So it's just frustrating for us. Will we ever have a completely healthy team? Probably not, but something close to it would be awfully nice. Yeah, I don't know if there's a curse there. I mean, I'm a Red Sox fan. You know, Curse of the Bambino was a thing, but curses can be broken. But Sam Bowie, Greg Oden, Brandon Roy getting his wonderful career cut short due to injury. Yeah, the injury bug here in Portland. You're scarred by it a little bit. And I totally get that. I'm born and raised here too. I understand, my friend. I completely understand. All right, we're going to take a break here, though, on Blazers Game Day. When we return, we're going to take a look at this New Orleans Pelicans team because they are, as we said, one of the worst teams in the NBA, worst team in the Western Conference, but they've been dealing with their fair share of injuries too. And a team that is scary to play against because you don't know who's going to play and what version of them they're going to get. They might be one of the hardest teams in the league, honestly, to really clamp down and decide what kind of team they are. Oh, is Zion playing? I don't know. Is Trey Murphy playing? I don't know. Who's this Herb Jones guy? Like, they can be all over the place. We'll talk about when we return here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt here with you, getting ready for this Blazers versus Pelicans matchup today in New Orleans, which it wouldn't be game day if we didn't talk about food. And I got to say, I do miss my travels because New Orleans, absolutely phenomenal food city. Let me tell you what, you can have bad food in New Orleans and it will still be good, unless Travis Demers makes you go to IHOP for breakfast. Why? Why? Oh, Burke, this wasn't Travis. It was my other travel companions. Oh, we're going to Waffle House. Really? We're in New Orleans, guys. Like, let's go get some Creole. Let's go get some gumbo. Yeah, nice alligator gumbo. Yeah, help me out here. Let's get some of the good stuff. Waffle House and IHOP. Y'all are crazy. But we're not here to talk about food. We're here to talk about the Pelicans. And as I said before the break, you don't know what Pelicans team you're going to get because they've been up and down and you don't know who's playing. They've had their rash of injuries too, and who's available and who's not and how things change. And you look at the game they played their last game. It was a 134-118 loss to the Chicago Bulls. Zion Williamson has been back. He had 31 points and 7 boards on 12 and 19 shooting. Trey Murphy had 15. Derek Queen had 9. Sadiq Bey had 16. And you look at the last game that this team played the Blazers, they didn't have Zion in that game, but they did have Trey Murphy, who dropped a team high 24 points. They had Sadiq Bey, who dropped 15. They had Derek Queen, who had 17. Well, things changed because, as the Pelicans have mentioned on social media and in their latest updates, Derek Queen and Sadiq Bey are out for tonight's game. Trey Murphy, dealing with some lower back tightness, is questionable. So again, now you're getting a different version of this Pelicans team than you've seen before. Because again, last time they didn't have Zion, and they did have Derek Queen and Sadiq Bey and Trey Murphy. And you lose Sadiq Bey and you lose Derek Queen, and that alone right there, that accounted for 32 points last time they played you. So now you got to change the approach and kind of scratch your head a little bit as to, okay, what team are we playing? What team are we getting? Well, you can go back even further, back to November 12th, early in the season. Well, Sadiq Bey had 25 points in that game, so he finds a way to get going against this team. Derek Queen had 26 in a game where he just dominated, and Trey Murphy had 22. So on the plus side, some of the guys missing today, specifically Bey and Queen, those are two guys who have beat up the Blazers in the previous meetings this season. So take advantage of that. Understand that if Trey Murphy plays, you still have to worry about him. If he doesn't play, that helps you even more because he has gone off on you basically every time you've played. But also understand that now you have the Zion Williamson effect, and how do you guard him? How do you do so with staying out of foul trouble? That's something that's going to be key for this team because we know Zion likes to attack the rim, and that is something that you can totally get and understand because that's his game. That's his game. His game isn't shooting threes. His game isn't necessarily back to the basket. It's going to attack. You go back to him at Duke, and he's a high flyer. He's a jammer. That's what he does. So how do you stay out of foul trouble? Because we've seen games as of late. Tumani Kamara has been in foul trouble. City Sissoko's been in foul trouble. You got to make sure your bigs stay out of foul trouble because you're going to have to find success on the glass and be aggressive there. So there's a lot that play into it and a lot that makes you go, okay, a little bit different than what we're used to. Because, again, Sadiq Bey and Derek Queen, much different than Zion Williamson. So that's the team you're getting today. So that's how you kind of approach that one. Stay out of foul trouble. Understand that it's not the exact same attack you've seen. From the other side of that, if you're the Blazers, don't change your offense. Just keep doing what you do. You need to get downhill and set the pace that you want to set. And in doing so, the hard thing in playing that fast tempo of basketball is doing your best to not turn that darn basketball over. And that is something that Tiago Splitter has said multiple times. I will go back to what he said after the game in Orlando. Treat every possession like it's gold. You have to treat every possession like it's gold. And he's reiterated a few times that you have to make sure every possession you are locked in, dialed in, ready to go. You cannot be lazy today. Because if you look at this team on paper, even with your injuries, if all they trot out there is Trey Murphy and Zion as their main two with the rest of their lineup, you should be able to beat them and control the game. If you let them control it, you've already lost. Because that's not a team or a roster that should control the tempo and play the game that they want to play. Not without their full complement of players. And even with their full complement of players, that roster is still has some holes in it. Is still, quite frankly, if we're being completely honest, New Orleans should be in full blow it up rebuild mode. Because and it has and I mean this honestly, and I don't mean it as any disrespect to the talent on that team, because I think Zion is great. When there's Blazers get rumored in the would you take Zion? Yes, I would take Zion, because how good he is when he's healthy, I don't care about the games he misses, because when he's on the court, he's one of the best in the league. Trey Murphy, I think, is phenomenal. Herb Jones, not great offensively, good defensively. Maybe not as getting as many eyes on him as he did just a few years ago, but he's still good. Jarrett Queen, good young talent. Sadiq Bey, it's clicked with him. The thing is, they haven't built that roster right and really have no idea what they're doing moving forward and how to rebuild that roster around who they have. So if I'm running the Pelicans, I'm in full rebuild mode. I'm shipping off Trey. I'm shipping off Zion. I'm shipping off everybody I can, getting as many assets as I can, because I need to build this thing from the ground up. Because we have these stars, but we have put nothing on the rails to actually go in the direction we want. And maybe the Blazers can get in on that one day. I don't know. But my point is that roster has not been constructed properly. And so that team should not go in and control the tempo of the game and make you play to them. They should be forced to play the you. And when you do that, that's why you have a team that has 8 wins on the year. Now, both times you've played the Pelicans, and you did win one, the Pelicans came out of the gate in the first matchup and tried to control the tempo in the game, and you bought into it, and the offense absolutely sputtered. It was able to get going late, and you kind of figured it out, and you get the 125 to 117 victory mainly because you outscored them 38-26 in the third quarter. But the Pelicans came out trying to control the game. In that second game, they controlled it because you had no center, so they were able to clean the glass. We already mentioned that, how dominant they were on that end. And then you struggled to get any forward momentum because you were getting halted at every single turn. I mean, you were out-rebounded 57-41 in that game. There was no Klingon, no Robert Williams, no Young Hansen. Tonight, you're going to have Robert Williams. You're going to have Donovan Klingon. You might even see Young Hansen, because we've seen all three centers play at times. So you can go clean the glass and set the tempo you want. It's going to be crucial. That's a little bit of a taste of my keys to the game, though, but we're going to hold off on that. And after the break, it's really going to be time for the keys to the game. What do the Blazers need to do exactly? Put a pin in it to win this game. We'll let you know when we return after the break here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Got a few minutes left, and it's time now for our keys to the game. What do the Blazers need to do to get a victory over the Pelicans? Well, we talked about it a little bit ago, and it's not something you can point to as a stat, but set the tempo, set the standard. Make the Pelicans play to you. Do not let them come out and set the pace that they want. We saw that in the first game, and the Blazers were lucky to get a victory because it took to the second half before their offense clicked. And then in that latest game, without the centers and the ability to clean the glass, the Pelicans were able to play the game they wanted and dominate and set the tempo. Dominate on the glass tonight. You got Klingon, you got Rob Will. Do your duty. Clean the offensive glass like you've been doing. You remain one of the best in the league there. Number 2 in the league, actually, on the offensive glass. So do that. Set the tempo. Don't let the Pelicans offense get comfortable. Keep in mind, again, no Sadiq Bey, no Derek Queen, Trey Murphy still listed as questionable. Also, if you're the Blazers, attack the rim. The Pelicans are 28th in the league, so third fewest blocks per game at 3.9. They don't have a massive presence down there. And if you can attack the rim, which is something Denny does absolutely incredibly well, you can get easy buckets or trips to the line. I think that's a good opportunity for Shaedon Sharpe to attack the rim some more. Even Donovan Klingon a little bit to work on those post moves, be active down there, because you're not going to have a lot of defense at the rim. Just be active, attack, and put them in positions that they're not comfortable, and maybe that leads to free throws. On the other end of that, the Blazers top 5 in the league in free throw attempts at 27.5 per game. Be smart with your fouls too. Like I said, if Zion Williams is active and attacking the rim, be smart. Don't send him to the line. The Pelicans are also a team that can thrive in that. There's not a lot that they do well, but they do get to the line 26.2 times per game, which is 8th in the league. So you're going to have two teams that are going to want to attack, get to the rim. So you got to be smart defensively if you're the Blazers. Get your blocks, but also be smart. Don't foul. Don't get in foul trouble. And the thing is, guys like Donovan Klingon and Robert Williams should have a heyday. The Pelicans average 5.9 blocks against them per game, which is the third most in the league. The Blazers, however, they're 30th in the league, or number 1, depending on how you look at it, in the most shot attempts blocked at 6.3. But, as we said, you're playing a Pelicans team that does not block shots very well, does not play a ton of defense at the rim. So the Blazers, I think, attacking the rim is going to be key. Part of the reason the Blazers have so many shot blocks or blocked shots is because they constantly attack the rim. When you attack the rim, you're going to have those shots swatted away. But again, against a team like the Pelicans, you're not going to get that same stifling defense. So play to your strength. And in doing so, I think you set the tempo and you don't let their offense get comfortable. Do that, and I think you get a dub. All right, the music's on. That means it's time for me to go. But you don't go anywhere, because coming up next, Chat Doing has your Trailblazers pregame show across the Trailblazers audio network. And then he'll pass the mic off to Travis Demers down in New Orleans for the play-by-play Blazers versus Pelicans tip-off at 5 o'clock. And, of course, when it's all said and done, keep it locked in here to Rip City Radio for the 5th quarter, where hopefully we're breaking down a Trail Blazers victory. Happy New Year, Rip City. I will talk to you after the game.